what is our ancestral bear and what are its cycles? This is going to be just a quick video to explain to you who our ancestral bear is, what our ancestral bear is, and what the cycles of our ancestral bear are. So, in Northern Paganism, Exposing Abraham, in the introduction, on page 4, we write, as Christians, we're supplanting our venerated ancestral bear of Europe and forcing our northern pagan ancestors to convert to that new foreign religion or die. The religious cults of Abraham targeted our ancestral bear for extinction, literally and spiritually. Our northern pagan ancestors venerated our bear in nature. It was called by many names, including grandmother, grandfather, ancestor. This ancestral bear was a role model of courage, strength, valiancy. As well, our ancestral bear's cycles were followed. These cycles of our ancestral bear matched the cycles of our cosmic bear, Ursa Major. Since our bear was, and still is, such an important part of Northern paganism, the religious cults of Abraham targeted it for extinction with extermination efforts. They also attempted to denounce and dethrone our ancestral bear in artwork, and in an attempt to replace its strength and might with the lion, they would have a single bear fight multiple lions. This was quickly stopped when our ancestral bear would win against those lions on every occasion and would receive the cheers and adulations of the onlookers. Forcing the foreign lion to be the new king had its additional problems. Now, what am I talking about there? That is the Colosseum fights where the cults of Abraham would bring in foreign lions and try to match them up against our ancestral bear, which they would take from Russia and Scotland, Germany, all over the north. And they'd bring in these bear and they'd try to pit them against that foreign lion, sometimes multiple lions, 4 or 5 lions, just to dethrone in the mind of our ancestors that bear from its place of veneration. What bear was this? This is the grizzly bear. This is the brown bear. This is the cave bear, the ancient cave bear. This is the polar bear, the black bear. This bear had many names, and we put all those names in that book. So these cycles in nature of our bear as matching up with the cosmos, I'll explain momentarily, because what's important for you to see is that from early on, Christianity attacked our bear with a vengeance. They needed to replace that bear in the minds of our ancestors. That bear was, well, to our ancestors, it's a god. That's how much they venerated the bear. They venerated its cycles. They venerated its strength. Its diet matched the human diet. That's why they called it ancestor, grandmother, grandfather. They saw it as an ancestor. That's where the whole myth of pagan cannibalism comes from, because the bear during the wild hunt of Odin's time, winter time, the ancestor, our northern pagan ancestors would call that grandmother, grandfather, it was seen as giving up its life so that its kin could live. So then the Christians came along and said, well, the pagans are eating their grandmother and their grandfather, therefore they're cannibals. That's how ridiculous these religious cults of Abraham have made our lore to be, and the culture that we come from. They've twisted it that much, depravity in their own minds. So the so-called Saint Augustine of Hippo. This is a drawing that my son had done in Northern Paganism poems, Sword of Glory. We had him draw that up from a 1235 of the Common Era Christian psaltery. And Augustine of Hippo, also called St. Augustine, declared in a sermon, this is on page 44, our ancestral bear to be the devil. It was then depicted in Abrahamic artwork as such. An 11th century poem states, hell is surrounded by a thick forest, and Dante places La Dolorosa Selva, the painful or cruel forest, in his Inferno. That thick forest, also called the boreal forest, also called by the Bible high places in the yew groves, the green places where the goddess, where the people went to worship the goddess. And then the God of the Bible commanded that everything be destroyed there, including the groves, including the people, including everything in the groves. So these religious cults of Abraham from early on were destroying the holy places of Northern paganism. So the cycles of our bear were attacked as well and eliminated from us. On page 40 of our book, Northern Paganism Poems, Sword of Glory, we're talking about the ridiculousness of the so-called St. Patrick and ridding Ireland of the snakes. And toward the end of that, we say another silly element attached to the Abrahamic Patrick is the proclamation that he introduced Ireland to the concept of Trinity using a three-leaf clover. Trinity was seen and embraced by our Northern Pagan ancestors in many areas of life. A few examples are the maiden, mother, and elderly, the moon, discussed with Voluspo 16 earlier in the book, and the cycles of our bear, the 3 cycles of 9 lunar months, and here they are. The first one was spring to Samhain. Remember, the Northern Pagan year, as we've shown in Northern Paganism Choices and Growth and discussing Valhalla, the Northern Pagan year, mistletoe, the Northern Pagan year starts around March to April, and then it runs for 9 months. That's called Red Month. It's called Vor. We call it spring. And it runs all the way up to Samhain, or Blood Month, with the reducing of the herds. So that is the first one. The first cycle of 3 is from spring to Samhain. The second one is from midsummer back around to spring. Midsummer, called the Maistong in Old Scandinavian. Maistong means green leaf pole. It is when everything is green and fertile on earth. The sun is directly overhead. Baldur is at his pinnacle. And our bear, our ancestral bear, in nature is in mating season to give rebirth 9 months later. Actually, comes out of its den after giving birth 9 months later. But our ancestors, following the cycles of our bear, the first cycle would be beginning of the year to harvest. The second cycle would be Maistong back around to spring, beginning of the year, where our ancestors were seen to give rebirth to valiant ancestors who had passed. The third cycle is Samhain, so we're talking back to Blood Month, back all the way around, back to midsummer. Those were the 3 cycles, the 3 legs of the bear, just like the triskele in the Celtic symbol that has the 3 swirls all connected to one. That is an ancient Celtic symbol that basically means life or movement. The same thing as the 3 cycles of our ancestral bear. So that's in nature. But how do they match up in the cosmos? They match up in the cosmos because we'll start with the spring. Okay? With spring, you have, if you're the sun, you have the springtime. The bear is directly overhead in this type of a fashion. It's called Ursa Major, the Great Bear, the cauldron, this being the cauldron. Most people don't know this bear also has 2 cigar galaxies coming off the forehead, which make the horns of the horned wild beast of the heavens. So during spring, rebirth is taking place. Everything, the bear is coming out of its den. Our ancestors are giving rebirth to valiant ancestors who were before them. Then we go around to summer, and our bear, as we go to summer, our bear shifts from that position into this position, okay? And then as we come on through to harvest like this, then our bear is seen in Samhain to be coming off the Thulian seat, the far northern seat. This is when Freya gives her wake-up call, wakey, wakey, young maiden. And our bear seems to be winding upon the mast, she says, to do what? To bring us Valhalla. Okay, well that happens, winding upon the mast to bring us Valhalla. Here is the beginning of the second season. We have my stone. The sun is shining. This is the my stone of earth, the green leaf pole. All of earth is fertile and green. Our bear is seen to be moving in to its rocky rest bed while our bear in nature is in mating season. Frey and Freya, our god and goddess of fertility, are upon the north, and our bear is moving into its den. Our bear in nature is in mating season, and our northern pagan ancestors are procreating following the cycles of the bear. That bear then moves around like this. It comes off through winter, and then when we come back around to spring, the 9 months, the bear is overhead, giving birth. That's the second season. That is the second leg of the Triskele. That is the second cycle of our bear. The third one begins in Samhain. In Samhain, the bear is coming across, wakey, wakey. The bear starts coming across the sky. I've got a little backwards here. The bear is coming across the sky. Freya gives the wake-up call. Now you're in winter. The bear is overhead. Now we enter the Fimbulwinter, the 3 lunar cycles of bitter cold. This is also called Ragnarok, when the wolf of the heavens swallows Odin, who is called Grimo, night. He's called night. And the bear will swallow Odin when the sun begins to increase and night begins to diminish. That is the third cycle. Samhain, back around. And then what happens? The bear continues to move, and then we complete our 9-month cycle, our 9-month lunar cycle system. That is the 3 cycles of the bear. The bear in nature, married to the bear in the cosmos, and that 3-cycle system is in tune with both cosmic movements and nature, and our ancestors followed those cycles of the bear that they venerated in nature as an ancestor for its strength, for its courage, for its valiancy. They called it medicine man. They called it grandmother, grandfather, ancestor, so many names, and we put them in here. That is our ancestral bear. That is the cycles of our ancestral bear, the Triskele, the Celtic Triskele. Look it up. And that's the end of this video. Like, subscribe, share.